All right. Today we have a guest with us who is from West Virginia, works in the coal mine, has a lot of information to share and to give. So thank you so much for being here, Mr. Unk Daddy. How are you?
Thanks for having me.
Of course, of course. So we're going to get into I guess, what it's like to work in the coal mines in West Virginia. So I'll start with my first question, and you can just kind of go from there. Can you walk me through the different roles or tasks you handle in your job working in West Virginia coal mines and what a typical day looks like for you underground or on the surface? So basically, just what's your normal day like?
Depending on your job, your day could be infinitely different. But and I've done mostly every job. But and also depending on your job is kind of when your day would even start. Like I started out as a contractor, which is kind of how you get your foot in the door in a mine. And then I was a union miner, and then I became a salary boss and fire boss and mine foreman. Now, if you are a boss, you got to be there 2 hours early. You got to go in. You're receiving phone calls from the section that you're going in to run. They're telling you what they've got done, what you need to bring in with you. You're taking down information, and then you have a meeting. And in the meeting, everybody will let everybody up here know what they found out was going on underground. Uh, they'll let you know what they're expecting of you for that day, or if there's any strange, unusual information that's not an everyday thing, we talk about that. But if you're just, and I don't mean to say just like you're any wrestler, but if you're a guy, you're just showing up, you're going to run the mine, or you're going to double the belt or whatever, then your day starts 2 or 3 hours after my day starts. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
But so basically, yeah, you come, I take these calls, we have the meeting. Uh, I talk to my coordinator, who's like the guy above me, and they give me a rundown of this is what they want, this is what they're expecting to go on today.
Mm.
And then I go out, my guys are all sitting out there waiting to go underground. I make sure they're there, talk to them, see if I got a substitute guy, maybe. This guy's not here, so I got a different guy. I got to find him, and I got to go to the warehouse. I got a list of whatever, maybe tools and or supplies that we need. A lot of supplies are brought in on train cars to the section, like the main supplies. But the little, I need a pick hammer, I need a roll of tape, I need anything else is in the warehouse. And I'll go have my guys. We'll get all that stuff, and then you get on the cage and head down there. And before you get on the cage, there's a board that you have a pin or like a copper. I'm sure there's one right here. Here's one actually.
Nice.
Sometimes they're like this. Sometimes they're round. I'm sure there's a round one here too. But and this is it for the check in check out board. So before I go underground, on my name it says out, and this is hanging there. Well, I have to put it on in so that if the mine needs evacuated, they can look at this board and say, okay, we see everybody's out of the mine. Or they
Oh,
see, well, look, that guy's still tagged in. So we got to either find him or go in there and find him. We don't know if he
ah,
just didn't tag out, or, you know what I mean? So that's a very important thing before you even go underground and
interesting.
to tag in and tag
So
out.
it's a visual representation of I mean, who's down in there, right? So if something
Yeah,
happens, something terrible happens, it's kind of like a dog tag a little bit, like in the military.
yeah,
Like you
yeah. It's similar to that.
IDs everybody and kind of that's actually a really good method. It's simple, but it's very effective.
Yeah. And then you'll have a matching one that has to be on your belt, like
Ah,
on the back. Normally they're on the back of your belt, and that one's a little more, kind of a little more morbid, I guess. But it's so that if they find you,
yeah,
they know that's you. You
yeah,
know what I mean? So you may be unrecognizable,
yeah.
and yet on your belt you got that tag that so they know. Okay, here's we found him. You know what I mean?
Sure. I've had
So
certain
you got to have that on, and you
yeah.
got to have yourself tagged in or out.
Yeah, I've been in certain areas before, like in buildings and all, and like I don't know, I get some random thought, and I look up at the ceiling, and I'm like, what if this would all just cave in? Like I would be destroyed. Like you think
Yeah.
we walk around as humans and we think we're like big. We're like, we go up to a stop sign. We're like, oh, that's not that much bigger than me. But when you're like in buildings and everything falls on you, you're basically just mush. I mean, it's just it's
Oh
a
yeah.
terrible thing to say, but it's just like it's such a dangerous thing, and people really aren't as durable as they think they are. A rock hits you,
Right. Yeah.
you're going to be bleeding, you're going to break a bone. It's extremely dangerous.
Well, when you're down there, if something happens, you're so far from medical attention. I
Oh,
mean, we train for that. I was a EMTM, it's called, which is like you're still like an EMT, like that would be in an ambulance, but the M is for minor at the end, and it's the same. It kind of certified the same way. I think like the only difference in it is I cannot give anybody any medicine. Like if even like you hit your head, I can't give you a Tylenol. Now anybody that's not an EMTM can hand you a Tylenol, but I can't like
uh,
tell you like based on my medical experience that you should take this Tylenol. You
un-
know what I mean?
understood. Yeah, it's
And
probably
that's
it's
what,
qualifications and certain like laws
yeah,
and all that kind of good stuff.
liabilities and things.
Liabilities, of course, yeah, insurances and all that. So, I would like to move into a second question here. It's a little more fun. Um, what is the most unusual thing you ever found or experienced underground? Whether it was a mysterious object, a critter, or maybe a prank or something. Is there anything notable?
Yeah, there's a lot of pranks and critters. You kind of got to be somewhat close to a opening, like a drift where they come in on rail or something.
Mm,
Because now a shaft where there might be an elevator or something, there will be countless things down there, frog stuff that fell down this hole. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Not alive. Now, one time I went into one and it was crawling with uh, wasps. Maybe they were. That's pretty much what they looked like, but everywhere. None of them were flying. They were all crawling, but they were all over the place.
Oh, jeez.
But you'll also, where they bring in supplies on a train, there could be a raccoon. There's some mines have mice, some mines have rats. Um, not, in my experience, I was in one that had mice and they didn't, you more often just saw their footprints than you saw the mice, you know what I
It's
mean? But
nothing like the movies, right? How many movies are there? I think which a lot of people think of mines from movies because
yeah,
we as the Americans have been kind of separated from the actual work of what miners do, and now it's just like kind of hard. Like in movies, it's just always there's monsters and demons, and the rats are going to eat your legs, and you know what I mean. So the reality
yeah,
of it isn't nothing like Hollywood, right? Like you don't have a rat
yeah,
attacking you when you round the corner or something like
yeah.
that.
And
Okay.
if there are rats, normally they're friendly because they're so used to being around the people, and people would feed them, and you know what I mean. So
Wow.
normally, if there is some kind of critter, it's pretty docile, and it wants you're its only source of food getting down there. So they're wanting to get along with you. They're not wanting to attack you.
Sure, sure. So yeah, I guess it's a thing. I'm always looking for the reality of things compared to I grew up watching a lot of movies and shows and stuff. Maybe that's not such a great thing because I feel like it distorts people's reality and worldview of things. Maybe for
Yeah.
good or bad, but it's good to hear that it is just normal. Um,
Well, one of the biggest I think surprises to somebody or misconception is that it's black. Like when you're in the coal mine, it technically should be white everywhere,
well,
and at best gray. If you're seeing black, that's a problem.
mm,
Now the coal is obviously black, but we have machines and they have ground. We don't grind it ourselves. We buy bags like a bag of cement,
yeah.
but it's ground limestone, powdered limestone, and we call it rock dust. And you spray it through like forced air normally, um, and you coat everything with it. That way, because the coal is obviously flammable and combustible, methane gas is leaking out of we call the walls the ribs, almost like if you're inside of a whale. Like imagine you're in a tunnel, but you're inside of a whale. So the walls on the side, we call them the ribs.
You call it
But
the whale? That's what you call it?
no, I'm just
Oh.
saying we call them the ribs,
Oh, the ribs.
but it would be like as if you were inside of a whale,
right?
And the ribs are on the side of you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's the picture I was trying to. I was trying to put in my head
where that comes from, or I forget why or where it originated to call them ribs. I'm not sure,
that leads into my next question pretty well, actually. Is there any stories you hear or superstitions or songs that capture what it is to be a miner in the mountain state? Like, is there any? I'm from New Jersey, so we always have the Jersey Devil. Is there anything that's out there that's told to scare new people?
No, it's with the messing with the new people. It's more just like pranks to get them to do dumb things that don't hurt them, but make them very uncomfortable.
In a very uncomfortable place.
They'll tell a new guy I bet you can't hold this bag of that rock dust over your head for a period of time, whether 10 seconds or whatever. And while they're holding it, another guy will split the bag and it dumps on.
Oh.
Or they'll take welding rods and they'll say, I bet you can't bend 5 of these around the back of your neck. Well, when you do that, all the stuff that they're coated with all goes down the back of your shirt.
Oh, jeez.
And so it's more like that. There's not, to my knowledge, like a specific, like the Mothman or
right, like
which is like a West Virginia folklore thing. But in the mine itself, I don't know of anything like that. But I do feel like it may be the most, as far as songs go, there may be more songs about that than any occupation on the planet.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, and on some level, you connect with all of them if that's your life, you know what I mean? But I will say, like, I don't know if you ever heard of Loretta Lynn, coal miner's daughter.
No.
She's a very famous, she's very old now, but she grew up very poor, very humble woman, and ended up becoming internationally known country music artist. And she wrote a song about being a coal miner's daughter, about her dad and how he worked all night in the mine and everything, and what it was like growing up. And they made a movie about it. Actually, Tommy Lee Jones was in the movie. And I would say out of all the songs, like that's the one that just
that kind of
stands out the most.
What is her name? What is her name again?
Loretta Lynn.
Loretta Lynn. And what is the name of the song?
Yeah. Coal miner's daughter.
Coal miner's daughter. Interesting. Maybe I'll put some B-roll of that in there. Very interesting. Yeah. Couldn't be more of an American thing probably than like coal mine and like trains and things like this. I think people forget kind of how this country kind of went west and made money and
right. If it wasn't for the coal, I mean, it fueled the entire
everything. Absolutely. So let's see. Let's move on to another question here. This is something interesting. West Virginia's landscapes offer some incredible natural features. What's one outdoor place from your childhood that holds a special memory, and why is it important to you? Is there a lake, a mountain? Is there something that is kind of more like your state, something that's unique?
One that I've visited the most, I would say, is called Cooper's Rock, and it's near Morgantown, where WVU is. And it's just this overlook. You go out on this rock, and I've taken my kids there several times and gone hiking there, and it's just, a lot of people seeing the sunset over the ocean is the most beautiful thing, or whatever, for maybe based on where you're from or whatever. But to me, you stand out there and look out, and you just see so far and so much.
Wow.
And you just can take in so much of it at once, and it's just beautiful. And it's probably one of my favorite places.
Wow. I can kind of understand that because I live in South Jersey. So like, I don't know if you know, but South Jersey is a very flat place. We don't have really any mountains or hills. Now, North Jersey's different. Obviously, Pennsylvania is like stunning. But in South Jersey, like
Yeah.
specifically, we're like the flattest place ever. So when I go other places, to me, when I see those vistas and mountains and just distance, it hits me, and I really enjoy it. The only other time I've seen it truly is when I travel in America a little, but when I would go to Europe, I would go to Germany, and then I'm like, oh my God, these mountains are so beautiful, the rivers and the lakes and all. I totally get why people want to be around that because it's kind of boring when it's just flat, you know?
Yeah, it's almost weird to me when if I'm outside somewhere and I look around and I don't see a hill or a mountain, like I can
Wow.
just see like sky forever. I don't know. It's not like uneasy. It's just odd.
Yeah.
It's just something that I'm not used to, I guess.
You would, I think you've been to South Jersey before. It's just flat
Mhm.
everywhere. You get used to it, and it's just really, it's remarkable how boring and flat it is.
Yeah, when you leave from where I'm at and go into Ohio and drive just a short distance, it gets all flat.
Mm,
Even though I'm in like the Appalachian Mountain Range or whatever, you don't have to travel far out of it that direction, and then it is everything is flat. And you don't see the hills in the distance.
yeah, sure. Okay, so moving on. Were there moments where you felt outsiders misunderstand your work, or when you wish the rest of the world could see your community through your eyes? Like perhaps, just how in America the coal mining industry is just, it's not thought of, honestly.
Well, I do. I feel like a lot of times, like you're like a political pawn, and your job hangs on that balance to where this new president or this new uh, person wants to eliminate coal, or they want to,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
they got all these ideas, and the part of it that's frustrating is they don't care about the environment at
Mm-hmm.
all.
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe that one of them ever spent 1 second caring about the environment. They just want to appeal to this demographic or that demographic. Well, I'm over here trying to work and feed my family.
Yeah.
And you're telling me, and I'm not against clean energy.
Yep.
If everything could be as, I want to breathe clean air and eat clean food and drink clean water as much as anybody.
Yeah.
And if you have a sustainable way to make that happen, I'm on board.
Yeah.
But a lot of times I feel like they come up with these great ideas that it's like they see this far, like we're going to do this thing. Okay, well, how's that going to work? We're not going to worry about that.
Mm.
And then at the end of that, I'm out of work because you wanted to try this idea,
Yeah.
and it ended up not helping anything and not working and benefiting anybody but you. Uh, and you act like you're doing this as a favor to me,
Sure.
like you're trying to help me, and I don't recall ever receiving any help
Yeah.
throughout any of these things.
It's like a tale as old as time, right? It's like the coal industry, the railroads were, something that built America, something that is truly American, and there's so much behind it, and there's all this big business who's just profiting tremendously off of the people. Then they abandon whole neighborhoods, towns, cities, and then those cities just become nothing. The beautiful buildings that they used to build are all just kind of ruins. It's just really kind of sad how many cities in America have been abandoned in so many different ways, and the architecture that was lost as well. And now it seems like things are so globalized that it just there should be a lot more respect and a lot more just in general way more respect for coal mining and the cities and towns that help build America. I think in some places like Detroit they're trying, but I don't think it's enough. I think it's a disservice, to be honest.
Yeah, and a lot of people strangely don't even know where their power comes from.
Yeah, they don't.
They go in there and turn the light on, but then that same person is anti this and anti that, and you
Hmm.
know, everybody's a walking contradiction. You know what I mean?
Pretty
But
much. The only time people care is when the power's out. And I promise you, in
yeah,
America, if the power went out, like our country's not very civilized, that we would be a burning mess of a country within a month if we didn't have power for a month.
oh yeah,
And I promise you, every one of these people, Americans, politicians, people wouldn't care. They'd be like, "Go get the coal. We need our power. We need to be able to function." And it's just so funny
right.
what in times of you know when there's a problem, just how much people can just throw away all of their ideas that make them so cool in like California where they're hip and yeah. Believe me, if they didn't have power for a month, they'd be like, let's get the coal, let's get it burning. I know they would, you know?
Oh yeah, yeah. When it comes and power isn't just a luxury. There's people that are on life support.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's people that literally without power they're dead. And there's people that live in places where uh, they're going to freeze to death if they don't have power. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it is a luxury, and we use it for a lot of things that are luxuries. But at the same time, there are things that it's a necessity, and we can't just let the power go out to. And their plans are like we went to a rally a long time ago in Pittsburgh in March with the UMWA, and they had this thing that they wanted to pass some kind of thing. It's a long time ago, maybe in like 2014 or something. Um, that they said that it would cost us 1,000 jobs, but it might lower greenhouse emissions 1% over 10 years.
Oh, wow.
Now, to me, might isn't worth anybody's job.
Right.
You know what I mean? And what else is gonna? Another thing that nobody looks at. Okay, if we stop doing this, something's going to take its place.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say we stop doing this and it lowers it 1%. Well, now we're doing these other three things that raised it a percent each. So at the end of the day, it went up 2% or 4% or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like nobody, like the big picture is like just something people refuse to look at. You know what
Sure,
I mean?
sure. Yeah, when you talk about 1% over 10 years, it's just like this data that I don't know. It's a lot of times these statistics and data and all. It's just like it's not a real, it's not a people thing. It's just this weird
Right.
number that is so arbitrary. It's just I don't know. There's always I think it's
Well, and they
always the
said
thing.
that was the other part that killed me. Like it might do it.
It
Like you
might.
don't even got to guarantee that it's going to do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it seems to be so common. It's the people versus the machine, and the machine is the government. It's the insurance companies. It's the institutions versus the people. You know, people seem to be very disposable. You could see it through history. It's a shame,
Oh yeah.
but they just use people. And then when you're old and you can no longer do your job, it's you. I don't know what kind of health insurance that There's so many other issues that can be come along with coal mining. I know it's really
Oh yeah.
harmful for people with their health. And maybe that's another question we can get into. How do you feel about being in such a hazardous field, such a place that's so bad for your lungs? Or I mean, is it worth the risk of the future of a painful life, a painful death?
Well, I guess kind of. I'm doing the same thing these people are doing with just looking at right here. It's like, well, I got to pay the bills this
Yep.
month. I got to buy my kids food this month.
Yep.
So I can only, I can't make my decisions right now based on how am I going to feel when I'm 60 and
Yeah.
I've been breathing coal dust my whole life.
Yeah.
But that being said, though, I did take it upon myself to wear a mask, and I was one of the few people that I would ever see wearing a mask.
Mm.
And I didn't wear it all the time. And you should. You
Yeah.
technically really should have it on the whole time. But
Yeah.
I would keep it on me. If I saw dust in the air, I'd put it on. And the dust, there's microscopic, there's not ever, I don't care if you see it or not, it's there.
It's there.
So technically, you need the mask all the time.
Yeah.
But I see and known a lot of guys, you couldn't even see your hand in front of your face. They're not putting a mask on. They're just
Wow.
breathing it in.
Wow.
And there was actually, and I love to hear rumors about myself or a joke or
Yeah.
something making fun of me. Like I love that.
Right.
So this guy asked me one time. He said, "You got tuberculosis?" And I said, "No." And he said, "Oh." And I was like, now you got to tell me why you asked me that question, you know?
Yeah.
And he said, well, that other guy said, I asked him why you wear that mask, and he said, because you got tuberculosis. And I just thought that was like the funniest thing.
Sure.
And, but yeah, I mean, it was rare to see somebody wear a mask, you know? Um, Very rare
I think
to see that.
also in that line of work, I consider you to be a man's man. I consider you to be like, a true role model, a true, like, a real dude. So I would think in that line of work, it's like when you're being a man's man, you don't want to wear the mask. You don't
Right.
need to
And
wear the
that is the
belt.
thing.
You don't need that. Your
Yeah.
back is like super strong, but it's like it's almost like unfair to yourself. Like, say, how you treat yourself, right? That if you're
Right.
going in there with this bravado and this, like, tough guy attitude, which is fine, but like you're hurting yourself in a way because you're too cool to be like really good to yourself as far as your health, your future health.
Right.
That's kind of
And
weird,
if you're, and what's even funnier about that is to be, to care that you look tough or cool isn't tough or cool
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So to actually be tough is to be tough enough to not care whether this guy thinks I look tough,
Yes.
and to not breathe, not breathe in this, because they're not wearing a mask because they're so tough. They're wearing it because they're so scared that they're going to not look tough. You know
Yeah.
what I
Yeah.
mean? So
Yeah.
I don't care if you think I look tough. I mean, to an extent, you got to have you want to be respected, and especially if you're the boss, you got to be, not that you need to be intimidating to anybody, but you need to, you know, carry yourself a certain way, and these guys are relying on you, maybe could be for their life, so you want them to feel that, this guy knows what he's doing and he can get
Yeah.
me out of here or whatever. So I'm not saying you don't have to have a little bit of carry a little bit of toughness or whatever, but
Sure.
in reality, be tough enough to take care of yourself
Well,
and not care that
I'm
somebody
sure.
thinks you're weak.
And some of these guys are such like manly men that they're probably getting out. It doesn't have to be now. Let's talk about like the 50s, the 70s, whatever, the whole
Yeah.
process. These guys probably get out of there smoking cigarettes, drinking
Oh
beer.
yeah.
I mean, like, wow, like really beating on yourself outside, inside, your mind. It's the durability. You can only last so long, right? Maybe your 20s, you can rock. You
Yeah.
can go for a whole decade. You're great. You probably look sexy. Women think you're great, all dirty. You got your whatever, But like you start hitting
Got your
50s,
mascara on.
60s, I mean, it's like, damn, your body will let you know eventually, regardless of
Oh
whatever
yeah.
you do. But that industry is certainly punishing,
Yeah.
and to be respected, absolutely be respected. So I'm gonna get into another question here. Let me hold on. If you could pass down one lesson, story, or piece of advice from your experience in the mines to future generations, to anyone who thinks about doing something hard or difficult or a job that they're kind of forced into just because they're a community. What would you want them to remember the most? So I guess the real question is, from your experience doing something so grueling, what advice do you have for people getting into the industry or people who want to move away from it? Just kind of something like that.
One thing, I had a job as I didn't call it a something coordinator. I can't remember what, but I would always have new guys,
Yeah,
like brand new,
yeah,
and I kind of like that because I mean, don't get me wrong, it's nice to have experienced guys because they know what to do, but somebody that knows what to do and still won't do it, that experience is worthless. You know what I mean? And a new guys, I could kind of shape them how I wanted them. You know what I mean? But one thing I always told all of them was go after it. Like, don't jump in and get hurt,
yeah.
but don't fall back and try to think you're getting away with not doing work. And like,
Mm,
okay, like me and these three guys have to shovel this up. Well, if I lean on my shovel more, and I'm not saying kill yourself or
yeah, yeah,
I wasn't slave driving people to death, but there's nothing that stands out more to me than the guy that's sitting back and letting the other guy work. You know
yes,
what I mean? I see that a mile away, and traditionally in every industry that I've ever been in, you're the workhorse, you're getting beat,
Yeah.
and the guy that they can't get to work is going to lay there and do nothing. And that's only going to get worse as it goes on.
Yeah.
Me, when I was the boss, the guy that leans back is going to do the most work.
Wow.
The guy that's jumping in there and getting it, I'm going to tell him, hey, take a break.
Yeah.
Let your buddy here catch up to you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I said, I'm not saying kill yourself, but you want to move up or you want to stand out. You want respect from, because, you know, as a boss in mind, only judge somebody by their work ethic. You
Right.
know, if you're a guy, I don't care that after work you drank a 12 pack or after work you're gambling or whatever you're doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's irrelevant to me.
Yeah.
You're a worker. That's how I look at you. You know what I mean? And that's, you know, you're going to get better received by everyone, taken care of better. They're going to go to bat for you. You know, you show up and you show that you care about what you're doing. You know what I mean? You're going to just become a more valuable employee,
Yeah.
and that's going to add value to your life in every way.
So the reality of it, that's the cool part. That's the great part. How many of those guys would quit? How many of them can't handle it? Probably quite a few, right? Like a lot of people are. Yeah, probably way more than you get a great, like, super awesome brother or whatever. You know, it's someone you could work and you could trust. There's far more people that quit than become that person. Yeah, way more, right? Yeah. So typically, you said you would press on them a little bit and kind of, you know, get them to do the most. How often would they quit? How often are these people leaving? A lot, right?
A lot, yeah. And now there's a very high turnover rate. When I got in, it was hard to get a job.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you were lucky to get hired on by the company. Now, any guy off the street that can pass a drug test and has a driver's license, or maybe even doesn't have a driver's license, can go right in there and get a job, which, don't get me wrong, I'm glad that there's high paying quality jobs for anybody off the street to get.
Yeah.
But it's like, you know, and it's the new generation of your workforce too. Like they just all want something for nothing.
Yeah.
But it's just a revolving door now. I mean, it's like it's hard to keep anybody.
Yeah.
And the schedules are always hard. When you go to work, you know, your schedule is irrelevant. If you're on day shift and say that's 9 to 5 or 8 to 3 or 7 to 3 or 8 to 4, whatever, that doesn't mean anything. Only thing that means anything is your start time. You do not ever walk into a coal mine knowing what time you're coming out. And I don't care what your job is or where you're going in the mine. If you went in there under a complete mystery of when you're coming out.
Wow. So that's worth repeating. So you're saying when people come in, they go to work and you go in that mine, you don't know when you're going to leave and when your shift is over, right?
Right. Now, legally, 16 hours is as long as they can keep you.
Damn.
But there's unmeasurable amount of things that can stop you from getting out of there.
Wow.
And though legally I can't make you stay any longer, well, if the cage is down, we can't get out.
Physically, you got to stay longer because there's like the real world physicality of the cage, the carts, everything. Right. Yeah, you can't just snap your fingers.
The rail,
Jesus.
Endless things can stop you from getting out of that place.
Wow.
So, but mostly it's, especially if you're going to actually be mining coal, you're up on a section mining coal. Well, that next shift or crew, they start at 2 p.m. Well, they all got to cage down, get a ride, come to the section and relieve you.
Wow. And
there is endless things that could stop them from getting there.
Wow.
So, you think normally maybe all week they've showed up at 3 p.m. And so you're thinking, okay, it's the fifth day. They've showed up 4 days in a row, 3 p.m. Well, they could have went off track. They could have, like I said, and the cage, it's the same cage that takes you out as takes you in. So they could be above ground and can't get in to come relieve you.
Is it only one cage?
No, some mines only have one cage, but the majority, if a mine gets big enough, um, they have to. What it'll be is they call it a portal. So you cage down here, and like I said, you may ride on a train for 45 minutes to get to where you're mining coal. Well,
Wow.
that is so much overtime that the company is paying all these guys that they're not mining. They're just riding out on this on a train,
Wow.
which we call man trip. Um, that they're like, okay, we need to sink a new shaft here, so that way when these guys go down, they just go 10 minutes in the mine, and it's a very expensive thing to put a new portal in.
Yeah.
You're going to put a new bathhouse, offices, everything, parking
Sure.
lots.
Oh, wow.
So it's a large expense, but it actually pays for itself very quickly when you're not paying all these guys all this overtime just to travel underground, and then you're letting them just travel above ground to a different location and cage down.
Interesting.
And then there's different types of cages. Some are just an elevator. Some are an actual cage. Some are a cage so big you could put a train car or a piece of equipment on it
Wow.
and lower it into the mine. And then sometimes there's just a shaft with a cable that you lower a piece of equipment into the mine, like a buggy or something. You could just lower it all the way down that hole, and no personnel will come in or out of it. But it's just a equipment shaft, they would
Wow.
call
Wow. So I guess that leads into a pretty interesting question. Who is your customer? Where's it all going? Who's buying it? What's the main purpose of coal these days for West
it.
Virginia,
Well,
America?
it's changed a lot, and it used to be like my pap and my grandma's dad. They both worked at Windsor Coal, and the coal came out of that place onto a belt, went over the highway, and there was a power plant,
Mm,
and it fed that power plant,
wow.
and that's as far as it went. Now they may have put it on barges and sold it to other people. I'm not sure. You know what I mean? But now it's like the domestic coal market is damn near non-existent. So
Wow.
and I hear a lot of talk about new administrations wanting to do something about that, and we'll see how that goes. But a lot of it is exported to China
China.
and India, different places like that, and they mine coal there. But one thing that it's always kind of famously said about a mine in China is if a guy falls over dead in the mine, they drag him out of the way, and then they drag him out at the end of the shift.
Yep.
So it's like their regulations, their methods,
Oh yeah.
their you know what I mean. But it's amazing that to me that it could be in any way cheaper to have me mine coal in West Virginia and ship it to you in China than it could be to mine it successfully in China. You know what I mean? But
Sure.
I don't. I can't explain how all that works, but
Yeah. Say one thing
somehow,
about communism gets things done in a very cruel and malicious way, like you said, with people die, and it's just like, well, keep going. And I think democracies seem to get bogged down with safety and all these things, which is probably correct. We don't want you don't want to abuse and just destroy people. But I noticed that in places like India and China and all, they absolutely just it's fodder. People are just like disposable assets. It's
oh yeah,
it's
you're just
crazy.
another number. Yeah,
It's never ended. You would think the way they talk about like democracy and all that most of the world's like this, and it is incorrect. Most of it all still has that old world mentality, and it's a really aggressive and like if they want to build a skyscraper, it's going to get put up a lot faster than in America, just for that same reason.
yeah,
The safety issues are just not the same, especially in India. Oh my God, man. I can only
yeah.
imagine what it's like to be a coal miner in India. I've seen when people actually are trying to get cobalt for cell phones and all in India. That's
Uh,
insane. That's insane. There's kids out there that are like 8 years old, and it's just it's kind of crazy. It always makes me be way more thankful for my life. So some days when I'm like, oh, this sucks, and I don't want to do this, and I don't like my job, I I often will think of people like you who work the way you do, but more so the people in those other countries when it's just like you're born into poverty and you're born into like just a lot of pain and suffering and probably die. It's really a very cruel
yeah.
world if you think about it. you know.
Well, at one time here, you took your kids to the mine with you. You
Really?
know, like
Wow.
oh yeah,
Wow.
like you go mine and you were paid by how much you mine.
Uh,
So it wasn't like, hey, I make $10 an hour and I work 10 hours.
yeah.
It was like you got this much coal out of the mine. So you went in there, you got your two sons or whatever that might be 10 years old, and they're in there doing it,
Wow.
and helping you so that you can get as much as you can, so you can make as much as you can.
And that's back when people probably had a lot more children, just so they could put them to work and all. Like
Oh
my grandfather, back like by like fifth, sixth grade, they were out of school. They had to go to work. You know, it's a very different
yeah,
world now than it used to be. One other thing I noticed behind you, there's so many awesome things. Is there anything notable back there? I really like the dude with the miner hat, the little guy. I
yeah.
think he's awesome. Yeah, he is
Yeah, I
so
think it's
cool.
like precious moments kind of little figurines. Kind of, I think we're the company that makes it. One thing here, my uh, my grandmother, her father moved here and worked at Windsor Coal, but prior to that, he owned a coal mine,
Oh
and it was
wow.
called the uh, Sunshine Mine. And there's a picture right here of the I don't know if you can see
Oh
it.
yeah, the mine. I see it. Yeah.
Yeah, and you see the mule there,
Oh
and
wow.
that's where they went in. But the thing with that, what made that not work out was classic tale. He had a partner. His partner ran the mine. He went out to market the coal, and his partner and his wife became partners while he was out marketing coal. So that's why
Uh,
he left there and came to West Virginia. And I'm glad he did, because that's now I'm here.
sure, sure. If it's not one thing that gets you, it's another thing. You know, it's
Yeah, yeah,
difficult. Game
yeah.
of
You're
life.
trying to navigate struggle, and there's just always more that you're not anticipating.
Yeah, yeah. You're like, and now what's the problem?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you have just shared a whole lot of information about what I think is an extremely cool, dangerous. Just keep putting words into it. It's kind of everything. I think it's amazing. I think it's incredible, and I can't believe what you do for a living. I love how it's just normal and every day for you to do something that is so extraordinarily dangerous, but also kind of cool. It's like really cool in a way, you know? Like when you told me you worked in a coal mine, everybody normally is just like, oh, damn, because most people have kind of ordinary, regular jobs now, you know?
Well, it is like every day's an adventure.
Yeah,
That's what I like.
yeah,
Like a little bit of element of danger. Like you're just really doing something. You know
yeah,
what I mean? And you're providing a service.
yeah,
To give power to everybody. But I'm not going to pretend I do it for anybody but myself and my kids.
of
You know
course.
what I mean? Uh, but that is the thing. Like you just, I don't know, just always feel like it's an adventure. And it's scary. It can be scary. It can be dangerous,
Yeah,
but it's fun.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I tell you, I've had some of my scariest moments and some of the most fun moments
Mm-hmm.
and that I've ever had in the coal mine, and just laughing and messing with each other
Yeah,
and making the best of it. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
it's not something that I want people to feel. I mean, you got to respect it as far as don't think that it's not dangerous and
yeah.
that
Or
you don't have
easy.
to be worried
Don't think it's
or easy.
easy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but also don't think that you can't do it, and don't think that you're going to be miserable.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you could go down there and I'm telling you what, have the most fun you ever had in your life. You know what I
Interesting.
mean? So,
And you said it
uh,
earlier. If you do it right, you don't have to go to school for a bunch of years, go into debt or whatever. You
right.
can get off the streets, and
Yeah,
if you want to get out of your home, maybe you don't like where you live, maybe you don't like a lot of things, you can get in there, do it right, make some great income in time, and then get yourself in a different position. You know.
absolutely.
Yep.
And the room for advancement and the is great, and it's an industry that really, all these guys are all okay with a risk. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? So they'll take a risk on you. You might go work at this place, and if you're not just the star of the show, you're not going to move up. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? But in the mine, you got to be pretty bad, and I've seen that too. But you got to be pretty bad for them not to be willing to give you a chance if you do want to run it or do, you know what I mean, be in charge or, as long as you're somebody that shows up and is trying, then they'll take a chance on you and give you a shot to do more than be the guy shoveling. You know what I mean?
Sure, sure.
And even age does not matter. I mean, I've seen them put a guy in charge that's 25 years old. You know what I mean? Like if you're confident and you command respect and people, you're like a leader, people will follow you.
Yep.
You know what I mean? They don't care that you're 25. You know what I mean? That doesn't matter.
Sure.
They'll be just as happy to follow you in there as somebody that's been there for 50 years. You know
what's the age range when most people are done? Is it 65? Is it when are people done with the mine?
Yeah, pretty much. My pap retired a wee little bit early because they shut that mine down.
Yeah.
And it was like, okay, you could either relocate and it was just like a couple years. So he actually retired like a couple years early. But normally it's just your normal retirement age. And sometimes, you know, you'll see some smart guys that got in there and played their cards right. And they get done at 50. You know what I mean?
Nice.
And that's very easy to do if you just can think about that and not, like I said, about, everything's just right here and I need a motorcycle and a boat and a side by side and you know what I mean? And nothing, you can still get all that stuff, you know what I mean? But investing in your future and stuff, I've seen a lot of guys that are smart and did it right and they got out of there.
There's a lot of people,
life to live,
a lot of people that work in that business, and it's even like electricians and plumbers and all, like you get these like massive paychecks, right? And then all of a sudden, if you've got this kind of attitude, you're like, well, I'm rich, and you want to go out and like, show people how much you can spend and brag about how many thousands your paycheck was. Those kind of guys are usually the ones that have to work the longest because, hey, good on them. They're living in the moment. They're having a great dinner. They're like, as you said, they're buying a boat or whatever. But at the same time, you don't always need to be like bragging about like how big your paycheck was. You should be thinking about how big your investments are as opposed to your checks. You know what I mean? And I think that can happen.
Yeah, and depending on what you're doing with that check, it doesn't matter. I mean, it could, if you got a $10,000 a week paycheck and you're gambling it all away, and I'm not beating up gambling or whatever, but then what difference did it make that you
I know
that you made $10,000 that week because you lost it all? You know what I mean? So I don't know. It's just.
And a lot of,
like I said, look at the big picture.
A lot of those guys are similar. They want other people just like them. They want other people not to go down with them, but they want other people to do another shot. They want them, to buy another steak. They want them to go racing with them, gambling with them. It's almost like they keep each other. Some people, really in a certain like tax bracket in a certain level. And it's cool if you can it's difficult going in that mine and being able to navigate, do the job, and also be mature enough to invest and save. That's why you have to watch out who your mentors are and who your leaders are. Everyone should look for a good person, a strong person to confide in and have a good mentor. And if your family's not giving it to you, either find it within yourself or find it within another person as quickly as you can, especially in your 20s, it's helpful.
I think one of the biggest downfalls is it takes a toll on your relationships. You got to live in this hole in the ground. You know what I mean? So, for me, I worked at multiple different mines, but the furthest I drove was an hour and a half there, hour and a half back. So, and I'm getting there 2 hours early. I'm staying 2 hours over. It's a 3-hour daily commute.
Sure.
So you're not home. So, you're married or whatever, your kids, you barely see your kids.
Yeah.
Your wife, she's got all this money, but she doesn't have a husband. You know what I mean? And I'm not speaking specifically from my experience, but I've seen a lot of guys that, it's very, divorce is very
I was just about to ask that.
And, and that's something you kind of can't plan for. And there's no financial hit you're going to take harder than that.
You know, and it's like you're proud of yourself.
Loved you yesterday
Yeah.
wants to take every single thing you have today. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So,
And again, we talked about all the layers of challenge that this job and the
yeah,
benefits, right? And now you're like, oh, cool, I'm in here. People like me. I'm a leader. I'm making good pay. And all of a sudden, you come home, your wife's cheating on you. Your wife wants a divorce. Your kids don't
yeah,
see you enough, but you're still giving money for the kids to go do jujitsu or karate, but you're giving everything to
oh
them.
yeah.
But in
You don't
return,
stop giving. Yeah,
you're losing it all. And then imagine your mind. You must have seen it so many times. A person's mindset. Now you're in the cave, and that 45-minute ride back you said on that cart. If you're thinking about your wife leaving you, your kids are leaving you, you're in torment. I mean, you're in darkness. Like
yeah,
some serious. That's like almost like hell in a way, right? Like it is the range of your job and the mental and physicalness of it is it should be studied. It's like it's fascinating, just the ups and downs are unbelievable.
And then in the winter months, you may go in there in the morning and it's still dark out, and then you come out and it's nighttime,
Oh,
and you may go 2 weeks and never see the sun,
oh, wow,
and that's another
sure.
issue. Everybody's got vitamin D deficiency. Everybody's on a vitamin D supplement.
Wow, I take vitamin
Uh,
D. Yeah, yeah. Damn.
yeah, oh, it's great. Yeah, I take
That's
a good
got to
amount.
really, really. Wow, I can't even imagine having that on top of getting divorced. Jesus, like that's rough. Well, everybody who works in the coal mine, I just want to say, as an American, I appreciate the whole industry. I appreciate what it's done for the legacy and history of our country, and I think everybody that goes in there and does their thing, I'd like to thank you, and I appreciate you, and I hope more people just come to understand just how valuable it is and how difficult it is on so many different levels. And I thank you. Is there anything else you'd like to share? I thank you for everything you've given. You've done a great job.
Thank you. I just, like I said, just want people to go away thinking, not being afraid of it, uh,
Yeah.
and you know, knowing that there's a place they can go if they live close to a mine and make good money and
Yeah.
have a good life. You know what I mean? But you just gotta balance
Yeah.
the time you're there, and if you give your whole self to it, it's going to take your whole self.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it
So
won't leave you with anything. So,
don't take don't take
yeah,
it lightly. If you're going to get in that, do your
yeah,
research, give it some thought, write it down, process it, because it's all things. It's difficult on every level. And it's also profitable. It's not just difficult on every level. It is almost every level, right? It's the
yeah,
pleasure, the pain, the money, the I can't think of anything else. Like I know other people who do a lot of other things, but it's different because they work in an office and it's more like facetious and gossipy, and I'm sure the mines have that as well. But at the end of the day, you can just go home, right? Like the work doesn't follow you home,
yeah. And one thing I will say that I like it better than anywhere I've been is it never surpassed 1980 in the mine. Like there was never a moment of wokeness in the coal mine. Like
Right? How can there be?
everybody says whatever they want to say,
Yeah,
and anybody that doesn't like it doesn't say, like there's no
yeah,
you can't talk about that or you can't say that to me. Like there's none of that. I mean, you're all there together, you're on the same team, but at the same time, there's a policy we say leave your feelings at the gate,
yeah.
and you don't bring your feelings underground. So
Wow.
if I have this ideology or that ideology, or I'm Democrat or Republican or
Yeah,
whatever, uh, there's no whatever your thing is. You say whatever you want about it,
yeah,
and everybody might argue with you,
yeah,
but it's never going to be the business of the human resource department. It's going to be taken care of between me and you. We're going to laugh about it, or we're going to cuss each other, or we're going to
yeah,
whatever,
yeah.
and that's it. But there's never going to be like, oh, well, this guy said, and not
Sure.
projecting any opinions, but this guy said men shouldn't play in women's sports, and now I'm going to
Yeah,
the HR. You know what I mean? There's never one, and if there ever was, that person would be, I
yeah.
mean, ridiculed to no end.
Sure.
The famous story is the superintendent. A guy went in there and said, "Well, these guys are being hard on me about something," and he said, this is a coal mine.
What a great
And
answer.
that's it.
That's it. What
Get
a
out
great
of my
answer.
office. You know what I mean? If you can't work in a coal mine, then don't come in the coal mine. You know what I mean?
100. It makes a lot of sense, right? Just because of the environment that you're in, the situation that you're in, how serious it is. Yeah, if you're gonna get offended over like the littlest thing and everything, then you don't belong here. Go somewhere where you can just complain about everything, and like, don't go there. You don't belong. I agree. Because it tests everything, and silly emotional reactions. If you can't handle it, you don't belong here. So I agree.
And I tell you what, though, that's the one other piece of advice that I always give. It does go for no matter where you're working. If somebody makes fun of you or calls you a nickname and you don't like it, you better act like you love it.
Yeah.
If you give somebody satisfaction messing with you,
yes,
they will continue to do it.
Yeah.
If you do not, then like I was bulletproof, untouchable.
Wow.
And I didn't even have to pretend that I didn't care. I really didn't care.
Yeah.
And like I said about the tuberculosis thing, I love for someone to make fun of me.
Yeah.
You know, and like I love it.
Wow.
So no one, I had never had a nickname that was able to stick because no one's ever got satisfaction from calling me a nickname.
Wow.
If someone gives me a nickname, I'll write it on my shirt. You know what I mean? And welcome it. And then it's immediately dead.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And
it's a remarkable way to evolve that you were able to adapt that to your personality because you knew you needed it, right? You knew in order to function and survive that you needed. It's basically having a sense of humor, but like a full sense of humor, right? Where you're just like, I'm impenetrable because you can't offend me, and I'm going to have fun and I'm going to laugh, and then you're not a target anymore, And then
I just double down. I'll make fun of myself.
Sure.
Way more than you can ever make fun of me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's a great bit of advice. Well, I thank you so much for your time. I hope we can do it again. I have a lot of different topics that we can do. A lot of other people we know that would love to just, I'd love to have your personality and your mindset. I think you're a great man, and I thank you for what you do. And
thank you, sir.
And with that, we are out.